A few months ago, my Poppa gave me this lot of laptops that he got from a garage sale for only $10. Do any of them work? I have absolutely no idea. The only thing he wants in return is for me to get one of them up and running for my uncle to use. So I think it's time we take a look and see if any of these actually work. A pile of old laptops was definitely something I wasn't expecting my 80-year-old Poppa to bring over. And my grandparents have never really been computer users, but I am glad they thought of me when they saw these machines. Honestly, there are some models here that I've never ever seen before, and I'm hoping some of the obscure ones have their hard disks and at least turn on. The sad reality is that old devices like this are often just thrown in the trash, never to be used again, although it appears as these saw a lot of use in their time, although hopefully I can at least fulfill this request. First up is an old Core 2 Duo Compaq in reasonable condition, at some point sold at Cashies for what looks to be $75. Enjoy this Windows Vista license key. It looks to be complete, although I'm sure the battery no longer works. None of these came with power supplies, so I'm making note of the voltages. I have a few tubs full of old laptop chargers for just such an occasion, and this does have a hard disk and a whole 2GB of RAM, which would have been a decent amount when this was new. A complete laptop, not a bad start. Next up is a laptop I've never seen before, the HP ZT3000, released sometime in 2003. Yeah, this is almost 22 years old, but sadly this one has no hard drive at all. There are two of these Dell Latitude 6410s, which appear to be in good shape. They're also the only laptops to have a somewhat modern CPU, a first-gen Core i5, and I'm really hoping one of these work as it would be the best option to use in 2025. And I didn't have to take these machines apart to discover the missing hard drives and caddies. They also have sizable batteries, although I have doubts about their functionality as both machines are around 15 years old, released back in 2010. 4GB of RAM is also present in both machines. Next up is another laptop I've never owned before, a HP DV1000, a rather nice looking widescreen notebook from 2006. A lot of HP laptops from this time period came with Harman Kardon speakers, this one even having dedicated multimedia buttons for DVD menus and audio. The multimedia features don't stop there though. A small remote sits in the PC card slot. This is so cool, even 19 years later. Now to see if this laptop is complete. Once again, it's great to see the hard disks are super easy to remove in these older devices, and with 512MB of RAM and a slow 4200 RPM hard drive, it's definitely never been upgraded. The last pair are some really low-end looking Lenovos. Once again, these are laptops I've never owned before or even seen in person. The first one does have some RAM, but no sign of the original SATA hard disk sadly. The second Lenovo is also missing the hard disk as well as the RAM. It's time to test them all, and thankfully I have all the necessary charging bricks. Starting things off, the DV1000 shows no signs of life at all, and after pressing the power button many times, the next laptop using the same charging brick does something. The lights come on, but nothing else happens apart from the DVD drive ejecting. No warning beeps, no response to the power button being held down. Something must be very wrong with this laptop. Perhaps the Compaq that came from Cashies will do a little bit more. The power lights come straight on, even without the power button being pressed. This laptop does however turn off after holding the power button down. However, nothing shows up on screen just like the other laptops. Next up are the budget Lenovo C200s. The one with RAM turns on at the very least, however this is definitely far too outdated for modern use. Plus the screen's backlight is pretty uneven. Okay, I thought I would save the best in terms of how new the laptops are till last. These Dells were used extensively in the business and education sector. The first of the two does turn on and seemingly works, but the BIOS is password locked. This can severely limit its usability, and also the battery appears to be completely toast. I tried reseating it, perhaps it was a bad connection, but nope, this one is completely dead. The second Dell Latitude on the other hand has an unlocked BIOS and the battery does appear to be charging. I'll leave it plugged in for a while and see what happens. And while it does hold a charge, it must be only a tiny amount given that the system says it needs to be replaced. While the battery in the Dell definitely doesn't last that long, you could power your laptop or many other devices with EcoFlow's new Delta 3 Plus power station. And I must say the Delta 3 Plus is the best compromise between capacity, portability, and output. The 1800 watt AC output with a surge of up to 3600 watts can power most household appliances with ease. With the dual solar inputs, you can charge it at up to speeds of 1 kilowatt hour, getting you to 80% in just 1 hour. Whether you're indoors or outdoors, there's lots of fast charging options to choose from. All of this packed into a sleek and compact design, weighing only 12.5 kilograms, is lightweight enough for anyone to carry. The lithium ion phosphate LFP cells allow for fast charging as well as longevity, with an estimated lifespan of 4,000 cycles while still maintaining 80% capacity. The Delta 3 Plus is built tough, ready for your next adventure. And you can also use the Delta 3 Plus as a UPS, as it has a 10 millisecond switchover time, allowing you to power your mission critical devices during a blackout or an emergency. Another great feature of the Delta 3 Plus is the ability to use the EcoFlow app, allowing you to control many aspects of the power station remotely. If you'd like to find out more about the Delta 3 Plus or EcoFlow's other offerings, click the links in the description below. EcoFlow are also giving away one of these River 3 UPS power stations. To enter, simply comment on this video with the hashtag EcoFlowAustralia. The full terms and conditions are listed in the pinned comment below. I'm going to combine the best aspects of both of these laptops. That means I'm going to put the pointer nub on the better unit. The Latitude with the unlocked BIOS will be the one that I clean up, with the help of some eucalyptus oil. And I don't know where these originated from, but my guess would be a school. And I'm fairly sure we had the exact same laptops at the high school I went to many years ago. One of the best things about these laptops is just how durable they are. From memory, I don't recall that students take very much care with the school's IT equipment, although I'm fairly certain most schools require students to supply their own laptops these days. And if there are any students watching, please enlighten us in the comments below. And I'm glad that the battery does hold some charge. How long? I'm not exactly that sure though. The battery life won't be important to my uncle, who would be using this laptop at home, I'd imagine. IT professionals must have loved how easily upgradable these laptops were. Being able to easily upgrade and swap out faulty components would have saved so much time. And I know a fair few schools that used Apple laptops and they basically had to throw them away due to the lack of repairability when something went wrong. That being said, more and more laptops are adopting soldered on RAM, storage, and of course processors. Not just Apple MacBooks, Windows laptops as well. And with a few screws loosened off, the cooling system lifts out. The thermal compound on the Intel i5 5800M is almost completely solid, taking some effort to wipe off. And it looks as if this was applied as a square of thermal paste instead of just two blobs placed on the dies. And the air exhaust would have also been causing some issues with heat dissipation, as it has a nice carpet forming. Given that there is only a singular fan, pretty much all of the internal dust and debris is in this one spot. Older laptops do often have removable processors. You turn this small screw to release it, and my research leads me to believe this can be upgraded to an i7 6400M, but it's not that much faster. It's a dual-core processor in here, but at least it has 4 threads, and being only 35 watts, this fan should easily cool it. A quick dusting out gets it looking like new again, and my thermal paste of choice is Arctic MX4, which is a good all-round paste that isn't expensive. I actually found it cheaper buying half a dozen small tubes instead of one large one, but regardless of what paste you buy, it'll definitely be more effective than the old paste that's been subjected to years of heat cycles. When putting the fan back in, be sure to connect it and not break the connector. It's pretty fiddly getting it back into such a tight space. And the processor in here should accept 8GB of RAM. Hopefully it will work with this much faster memory that I pulled from my 2012 MacBook Pro recently. Some laptops are very particular about the RAM speeds. Faster RAM should be able to downclock and work with this system. And there we have it, a really simple laptop to work on. And for storage, I'll simply slot in a cheap SSD directly into the SATA slot. And to hold it in place, I used a bit of cardboard. And now for the moment of truth. Does it work with the new RAM? Thankfully, it does still turn on. With all the RAM and SSD detected, let's install an operating system. I'm going with a lightweight Mint version of Linux. This is very friendly to people who don't have much computing experience. And to create and install a USB, I'm using Balena Etcher. With the Linux Mint ISO selected, I found an old 8GB USB to install it to, and about 5 minutes later it had successfully created the installer USB. With the drive inserted and the pointer nub in place, let's start up Linux Mint 22.1. It's pretty cool that you can boot directly from the installer USB before even putting Linux on your internal drive. The installation was super easy, and I'd highly recommend trying out Linux on older devices, especially a lightweight version for better performance. And I think one of the best parts about about Linux are all the free applications that are easily accessible through the software manager, and using this laptop for productivity and typing up documents is great. It's got a truly excellent keyboard, along with the pre-installed LibreOffice suite is a real joy to use. Although in terms of performance, the integrated Intel HD graphics are not very good. But you can still run some games, and there are plenty of them to choose from in the software manager on Linux. There are also heaps of Steam games compatible with Linux. They will definitely struggle on a laptop like this though. And due to some driver issues, I couldn't get the latest version of Minecraft to run, but Minecraft 1.12.2 does technically work, but not very well as you can see here. A modern, up-to-date browser such as the pre-installed version of Firefox has no trouble playing a full HD YouTube video, and web browsing is still very much possible on this 15-year-old notebook. Dell did not skimp on the port selection for this budget-friendly laptop. Full-sized Ethernet and DisplayPort are not things you see on modern laptops, and this would definitely have to be one of the last laptops that came with a VGA port, something you definitely do not see on modern devices. Look, this is arguably a very outdated laptop with a screen that's only 1280 by 800, and the pointer nub just doesn't feel as good as one on a ThinkPad. But even with all the performance shortcomings, you can still get basic tasks done. Installing Linux really made this dirt cheap laptop useful once again. Well, there we have it, the $10 laptops from a garage sale. Honestly, I was expecting a few more of them to work, but then again, that's probably why they were so cheap. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I look forward to getting more content out to you really soon. Have a good one.